Hey, it's Earl Pereira from the Steadies, and this is episode 32 of the Sit Down.
And then we say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you been, brother?
Doing good, man. I'm just gonna move my little screen out of the way so I can talk to you guys better. There we go.
Yeah.
Been well. Just busy, man. COVID didn't really slow me down at all, or the band.
Oh.
It did for touring, obviously. Did for everybody,
Right.
but there's still so much more to the business and to the industry than just that. So yeah, man. I was mentioning before, and you guys were saying what's new, what's exciting, and literally the email just before you guys sent your email is a record contract that
Oh,
I got to sign after I get off this podcast with you guys.
Hey, congratulations,
Yeah.
buddy.
And thank you.
who are you signing with?
It's a record deal that involves Sony music.
Oh,
So yeah,
nice.
it's there's a couple multiple parties. So there's the direct label is called Bristol Records, and then Sony, uh, the Orchard, which is the music department of Sony now. That's what they call it, is Sony the Orchard. And yeah, so they're partnered up. So they'll it's kind of like a joint, you know, they're like the distributor and more so as well, depending on how well the band does with our direct label. If the next year goes well, it looks like the bigger label's gonna help out more and push things along. So yeah, man, 2021,
Awesome.
they're releasing 3 singles off the record, of our latest record, and yeah, we're stoked, man. We couldn't ask for anything better right now.
That's awesome.
That is exciting stuff, man. Through COVID, yeah. So congrats on that.
I
That's
know,
amazing.
yeah. Which is, thank you, guys. Yeah, I've been working long. I mean, I started the Steadies in 2011, so this has been 9 years of work and blood, sweat, and tears, and sleeping on friends' couches and and what to get this opportunity. And I've been on a major label before. My old band, Wild North Mason, my former band. So it's I've got a lot of experience in that department, and I've been around for a long time now. I mean, I've been in the industry for over 20 years. So, but it's always
I think
different
when you started the Steadies, if I remember right, man, we actually met you because you guys played at the hall in Bellevue here, where we are. Yeah, you were playing for a friend's birthday party, a mutual friend's birthday party in town here. In Little
Oh,
Little
yeah?
Saskatchewan.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And I remember when we were setting up the sound.
Actually, I wasn't there.
Were you not there?
No, because I was sick that night.
I was like, yeah, I can. I was like half corked, and I was like, I can keep a beat on the drums while you guys sound check, and that was me on the drums while you guys did your sound check.
That's
before the
awesome.
night. So we actually met before, and I think that was
That's
like
cool.
in 2012 or I don't know. It was
Okay,
a while
yeah.
ago, man.
Well, that makes sense for sure, man. No, it has been a long time coming. I mean, I just thought when I started the Steadies, it was like my own path of like, this is the music that's truly me and what I love, songs I write. So yeah, just been relentless. It's easy to be that way when you're like passionate about it and it's like your project, it's your baby. Of course, I've had to go through various band members over the years, and that's always the toughest part, getting people that want to commit to doing this, especially when I can see the big picture, and and which is getting this opportunity now. Um, it's hard for other musicians to see it until it happens, right? So
Do you find that it ends up like, is it difficult because because you've been there once before, with Wide Mouth Mason, so you
yeah,
kind of know the path to go, and you're trying to tell these other people, hey, like this is how this is going to go, and then they're kind of clashing heads with you. Is that sort of what's happening,
yeah, it's not that they clash
or
heads
has
with
happened, I
me.
guess?
It's they have their own doubt whether anything's gonna happen, right? And because, like you said, they haven't been there before, they don't know what it takes, and you're absolutely right. I knew what to do. I knew what to avoid. I knew it wasn't gonna be quick. That it was gonna take some time to do it right, and to establish yourself with with your music first and foremost. It takes time. With Wide Mouth, it happened faster. We were together for maybe 3 or 4 years only before things started taking off. But that's a different time. Like, I mean, the
Right.
industry
Yeah.
completely changed, and we did get a bit lucky back then as well. So I mean, you do make your own luck. You got to work really hard. You got to be willing to tour. You got to be willing to put yourself out there. That's what they are looking for. Anyone that's going to be part of a bigger machine that's going to help push you along, marketing and all that stuff. They want to see that you work hard. You're easy to work with as well. I don't know if you notice the correlation between people that are a bit, I don't know, kind of divas, or just don't have a good reputation. If someone who you want to work with, usually, um, almost every time, you never hear from that artist again. So, like, we try to take pride in being easy to work with and enjoyable, because then that's when people want to book you back, and pay you
Yeah.
more
Yep.
the next time, that type of thing. And for fans too, they want to have access to you. They don't want you to be standoffish and whatnot. And I think sometimes, and I've seen it and experienced it, when you get a little bit too big, it can go to people's heads, and you start not treating the fans right, and burning bridges in the music industry. And that's just not me. That's not who I am. I always wanted to keep good relations with everyone. I don't really see a point in having bad relationship unless it's someone that you should definitely not want to work with, right? I've worked
Yeah.
with people that
Yeah.
are like that, and I just choose not to, and it's working. We things are really moving along. I think next year is going to be a big year, at least for like the beginning of something, of a new kind of chapter for the band.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
So how did that process go with? You said you went through a few band members. Like, are we talking like a handful, or did you have them lined up and you just picked whoever you want, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think I had a core, couple guys, that I started the Steadies with. Um, they We had been playing in previous bands before, and they're like my bros. They're like good friends and brothers, and the drummer, my good friend Jason, we're still great friends. So he'll still play with me when in maybe different at a different project, or if our current drummer with the Steadies can't somehow make it down for a gig because he lives in Edmonton and I'm in Saskatoon, Jason will still play. He knows him and I have played 600 shows together, so he doesn't need to. We don't even need to rehearse, right?
right.
We're just locked in automatically. But he's doing his own music, and that's kind of why he was there for. We played together for a 4 year, 5 years, and he just really needed to do his own music and his own thing. And I try not to take it personally, and we supported each other this whole time, and he's happy for us that this is happening. And the great part about it is, my drummer who we have now, was Jason's best bud when he first joined the band. So I've known our current drummer as long as I've known Jason, and
Right.
but we kind of we went through one more drummer before I got to Curtis, because he's in Edmonton. I didn't really think of asking him, because you're always thinking somebody local, right? You got to play with
Yeah.
someone local. So we had a gal in the band, really talented drummer, Lexi Miller, who I mean, still very close friends to this day. And that's tough. It's a tough one when you don't know somebody. So it was a little bit different. You know, we didn't really know each other, even though we did. You know, love her to death, and she did a great job for as long as she was in the group. But kind of the same thing, you know, like as Jason, just creatively, we were just on different wavelengths. I needed someone who wanted to be in this band and play this music and be all in, you know, and have no other foots in the doors somewhere else,
Right.
right? It
Right.
was
Kind of what you had with Wide Mouth Mason. Then.
exactly,
Yeah.
and Curtis was that guy, you know. Once the opportunity came where we needed a drummer again, he jumped on it this time, and he I didn't even have to ask him. He came to us and said, you know, I'm the new drummer of this band now, and we're like, so that
And
was
you're stuck with him.
yeah, and
Perfect.
he's been there since, you know, that was 2017. Our first tour together actually was we were just ready to go overseas. We had an Asia tour, uh, 25 days, 17 shows across Asia. So
Wow.
yeah, that was Curtis's first tour as a drummer in the band. The guitarist, he was the solid one. He was the one I could count on the most. He was there through the whole everything that we went through from day one. Um, we did China together, and it was so that was Juice. That's our guitarist, Justin Lee. Everyone called him Juice because he's from when he lived in Montreal um, with a French accent. They would call him Justin. Justin. You just cut out
Just
the tin part, and it ended up just being Juice. So Juice, right? So him, I met through my brother who was living in Montreal and playing in bands back in the early 2000s. I don't really remember meeting him back then. I was with Widemouth at the time, and my brother's band was opening for us. And Juice was like a super fan of my brother's band. Didn't give a crap about us. Like he came to the show to see my brother's band, not to see my band, right? And I guess we all hung out at the pub after, but I don't really remember that. And then years later, he moved to Saskatoon because my brother opened up a recording studio, and they both went to Trebas Institute of music engineering in Montreal. So that's how those guys met. And then when he heard my brother was opening a studio in Saskatoon, he was on a plane. He was working in Trinidad in some studio doing like commercial ads or something like that, and didn't really like it. So, and he's always kind of terrified living in Trinidad, even though he's born and raised there. He doesn't really like it there because it's a bit like the Wild West, how he describes it. You know, it's a really dangerous place, and he feels like he's always looking over his shoulder all the time when he goes out and everything. So he feels like Canada is really safe. He spent so much time in Montreal that he feels like he's got Canadian citizenship. And so yeah, like he came to Saskatoon. That's when I first actually got to hang out with him. And then soon after, I needed a guitarist. This would have been 2010, and I had just left Widemouth. That would have been right after the Vancouver Olympics was my last gig with those guys. We played the gold medal game, so that was
oh,
Oh,
sweet.
sweet.
pretty sweet gig to finish on, right?
Yeah.
And and then yeah, and then Juice joined the band. He left the studio to come on the road, and then it was me, him, and Jason for years. And he was like my right hand guy. And then we did China, which was huge for him and I because we had worked so hard to get to that point where we were finally touring overseas, and it was like a dream for him. And I hadn't gone overseas in years, so it was a big deal for me too. And we just had a blast. I mean, we saw everything, like all over China, Korea.
How does like a tour like that start? Like, is that under like a record label, or is that
Yeah,
just you guys like, hey, we're gonna book our own shows out
Yeah.
and
Just throw a dart on the map, and I
yeah,
guess that's where
let's
we're
let's
touring.
book some shows out here.
and then we actually signed a deal with the record label in China, and they're the ones that brought us over. They organized the whole thing, and it's a label that's run by a French Canadian from Montreal, and he's been living there for 15 years now. And his whole thing is bringing over bands from Canada, U.S., and that's what he does. It's the main thing about his label. He brings North American bands to China, and he loved the fact that I had already been there with Wide Mouth, Warner China. You know, we made a big splash over there. We were actually Wide Mouth was the first um, North American band to tour in China ever of all time.
What?
Yeah,
No way! Holy
yeah,
smokes, man!
yeah. Because it was still the Communist Republic back then in 2002. So we broke that barrier. It helped that I was Asian. They really marketed it pretty hard, and their posters and stuff had me front and center. Uh, posters, right? Even though I'm not, I'm like, I guess I have a bit of Chinese on my dad's side. So I guess I'm an eighth Chinese, but mostly Filipino, and but they didn't care. They treated me like I was from China, and
Really?
yeah, they were trying to talk to me and I couldn't understand anything. Right? I just
No
smiled,
habla inglés.
you know. And it was crazy back then because they were just building the infrastructure for the 2008 Beijing Olympics. So it was they didn't have any of the bullet trains yet. It still felt like they were like stuck back in the in the ice ages. Like it was an experience for sure.
So you
Fast,
have something with the Olympics then.
yeah, I wish, man. But fast forward to 2017, and then now it's one of the most modernized countries in the world. It blew my mind to see the difference of where they're at now compared to back then with technology and the infrastructure is a completely different place. So yeah, that's how we did this label set it up. They We did the tour and just had the greatest time. And unfortunately, 2 months later, Justin passed away just
Oh,
by a freak. Yeah, he had a health issue that no one really knew about, and he was partying a little too hard one weekend, and then I got a call. I was in a studio in Saskatoon, producing a band, and I got stuck. Something wasn't working, and I gave him a call, and I was like, "Hey, man, you gotta save me here, because he's the studio guy. He's like he taught me everything I know. Um, he knew how to troubleshoot and fix things. So when I picked him up, brought him to the studio. He fixed everything in like 15 minutes, and I was ready to record again. So I then drove him back home, and then that was the last time I saw him. The next, I was in a session, got a call, multiple calls saying he's in the hospital. I didn't know what was going on, and went there, and he was in a coma. He had a induced coma due to brain hemorrhage. So high, high
Um,
high blood pressure caused the brain hemorrhage, and yeah, and that was it. So didn't get to say bye, and I didn't know what to do after that with the band. Like I was kind of in it was a weird place to be. We worked so hard. We just toured China. We were about to do a summer tour, and then passed suddenly. So, and Curtis, I had Curtis in the band, but he had just joined. He'd only been in the band for 4 or 5 months, and you know, we did some shows, just kind of tribute to Juice, his mom and his family. I asked them. I said we have these shows to play, but I don't know if I'm really up to do them. And they said, you should do them. Like he would want you to do them. So we called up some friends that could fill in on guitar, and they came on tour with us. And on that tour, like Curtis, like sat me down and said, you know what, like I'm still in. Like you want to keep doing this? Let's do it. And I was like, okay, that's all I needed to hear. And then we just started writing. and what turned out to be this new album, and then found look for a new guitarist, which we eventually found. So we had a number of tour dates for the summer, and yeah, I didn't know what to do, so I talked to his family, and they gave me their blessing, and they thought it would be a great tribute for him, and great for the people we were going to play for, and all the cities that knew him that would want to come to these shows and support and show their love and support. And it was a tough thing to do. I'm really glad we did it. What I didn't kind of realize it was going to be was a whole grieving process. It kind of forced you to face it every night in front of everybody. um, so yeah, the shows were tough to get through emotionally, but I'm really glad because I felt like once we kind of went through a couple months of that, played every city across Canada, even Montreal. Like his brother was out at that show, and um, his friends, his close friends. So um, it felt like therapy in a way. It,
Yeah.
it actually allowed me to move on sooner than I would have had we didn't do that. You know. Um, so that was really cool, and then sure enough, yeah, I started getting inspired to write, and just started writing kind of on my own, and then with Curtis, and another friend of ours. His name is Alex, who he's an old friend of mine who knew Juice as well, and um, he offered to step in and fill in until we found someone more permanent. So he kind of stepped in and joined, the writing process and creative for a while. Played some shows with us, but we did end up finding another guitarist, and he's a young guy out of Victoria, and he seemed really gung ho and loved the band, and it was scary for me because I've already tried to get someone in the band that you don't know. So this time I was more cautious about it. We knew it was going to be more of a trial run to see how it went, and he fit in the band really well. Really talented, great attitude, easy to get along with guy, um, and seemed really passionate. And it was funny because Curtis's first tour I was telling you was Asia, and Jesse, who our guitarist, his first tour we were going to Europe, and that hadn't been to Europe in years, right? Widemouth played the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland like 2000. Right, that was the last time I'd been to Europe, and
Wow.
here we are going to Europe with a new guitar player. But now Curtis and I are pretty at that point we're pretty tight rhythm section, so that kind of carried us through. And Jesse, just being as talented and dedicated as he was, because he's a guitar teacher, he learned every song note for note. He was really prepared, um, and we actually had a chance to write a little bit before we went, and we had a couple new songs we were playing on that we wrote all together that we played in Europe, and those are songs actually that everyone loved, probably maybe the most out of everything we did. So we were like,
Oh,
okay,
nice.
I think we're onto something here. And then Europe was a blast. We were in Italy. Um, Friends of mine who two lawyers actually that are married got married. Um, they actually are lawyers for dealing with this record deal. They were getting married in Italy and invited me over for dinner one night and told me about it. And I was like, oh, congratulations, that's amazing. I can't believe it, Italy. Hey, that's like a dream wedding. And they said, yeah, but we need to ask you something. I'm like, what's that? We want the Steadies to play at our wedding. And I was like, are you serious? Like, really? They're like, yeah, we really want you to play. And we'll fly you out. We'll put you guys up. And I'm like, oh, okay. So let me talk to the guys. And I was able to put together, this was in like maybe August 2018. And we were supposed to be out there by October 2018. Um, and it's funny because 6 months earlier, I had been asked to tour Europe with a band from Winnipeg whose bass player quit, and they hired me as a hired gun. So I actually toured Europe that spring all over the place. We played like 20 something shows. Um, but again, it wasn't my band. It was just some band that cool guys. Great experience, and I couldn't believe it. But I did make connections from that tour. So when my friends asked me if we could come back in the fall to play their wedding in Europe right away, I was like, I'm gonna start emailing these promoters and people that I made friends with while I was over there. Some of them were like, yeah, yeah, love to have you. Like, sure. When do you want to play? So I was able to book an Austria show, some Germany shows, and a couple more Italy shows around the wedding.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so that was fantastic, and it was a really good bonding uh, trip for Jesse and Curtis and I. And yeah, we were on a big high, and came back from that trip just ready to record, ready to do some more writing and make our records. So that's pretty much
It
what we.
also shows it also shows your hustle though. Like normally, if I would be invited to a wedding, I'd be, yeah, sure, I'll go, and then
Like,
be at the
free
wedding.
wedding.
Yeah, yeah. But then you connect with people and make it a tour.
You're like,
That's awesome.
how can I get my product out here and make
Yeah.
some money doing it?
That's awesome.
That's right. Yeah, and that's exactly what we did. And it wasn't a lot of shows. I think we played maybe 6 shows, but
Yeah, but still.
still, it was just an awesome time, and it was actually great to actually have more time for the three of us just to go do stuff together there, kind of almost like a European vacation. With only 6 shows, right? We were there for 3 weeks, and we only played 6 shows, so it was a lot of fun. We did a lot. Not gonna lie, we maybe had a few beers. We by fluke ended up in Munich uh, on the last day of Oktoberfest. We had no idea it was even Oktoberfest. We got to the train station, and we were like, "What the heck's going on? I think Oktoberfest is happening." And then sure we found out that it was, tonight's the last night. So we're like, I guess we're going to Oktoberfest, you guys.
Yeah, so you had a few more than a handful of
we had
beers.
we had a few more. And then that tour ended on a big high. We played a show in Hanover that was sold out. We were opening for a big local band in Hanover, and it was great. So we got to play in front of like a big sold out crowd for our last show, and then made it back home, and just kind of it gave us the inspiration to. I did actually a bunch of writing on that tour, just on the trains, and a lot of those songs are on the album. So the new album's called Tiro de Leon. So that's of course Italian. Just the times I spent in Italy with earlier that year, and again with the guys. Spent So it's actually a place I never thought I'd ever see. To be honest, just like when you think of touring in Europe, you don't think Italy. Just because it's not. I don't really. It seems like the music that goes over well there isn't. It's more like maybe like hard rock or like just something that's not what we do.
Right.
But there we were playing in Italy, and we were playing a show in Venice, and which was wild. It was called the Red Bear Pub, and then the man that owns the pub also owns an Airbnb, so they can put the bands up, and it's pretty great. And we played the show, and I remember we were hanging out up front, and the guys that brought the gear for us to play, and the owner, we were all hanging out, and they wanted to smoke us up. So they're like, you guys probably haven't smoked weed this whole time. We're like, no, actually, that would be amazing. So one guy had one rolled up, and we were just having a good time, having a drink, and chit chatting out front of the bar, and we got to the end, right, of the joint, and one of us, I forget who was it, said something about, hey, what do you want to do with the roach, right? And they're like, what? What's roach? You know, and that's what we say in Canada. You know, that's the end of the joint. And they said, looked at us and they said, oh, you mean the tiro de leon? We're like, what the heck is that? They're like, that's what we call it. It means the tail of the lion, which means the
Oh,
end of the
nice.
joint. So right away, I was like, on the next train, I was like, Tiro de Leon, my title, and I knew it meant tail of the lion, and I'm like, okay, I want to write. Let's write something about this, and it ended up, being a song about, well, legalization had just happened in Canada. So it happened actually while we were in Europe. We were in Amsterdam while Canada got legalized. So we celebrated, of course, in Amsterdam. And yeah, that song's the title track of the album, and it's what it's about. It's about legalization here and other issues related to it. The corrupt politics that try to put a stop to that in certain places, and how we have to make sure we don't go backwards from this point on, and keep Canada being that place that everyone just wants to come to and hang out. Like
Yeah.
being legalized has just made us a more of a attractive place to come visit. Until COVID.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then that's the 2019 was all recording. We spent that whole year. So me and Curtis, our producers, we have our own studios, and we figured we wanted to do it ourselves, not hire some big producer to come in. So it's like, no, we have the capability to do it. We want to be able to sound how we want to sound and portray
Right.
that. And yeah, we worked really hard on it too. And I knew it was going to be our best album just because of how much work we were putting into it. That I haven't really on any record have put in as much work as this one. And yeah, it came out at the end of last year, so November 2019, and we've been, things went really well. We were having some sold out release parties. In the new year, same thing. We just continued on, and then yeah, then we got smacked in the face. Junos were in Saskatoon, and
Yeah.
we were supposed to play a big Junos party. Um, I actually got asked to do a songwriter circle to kick off the Junos. This would have been the Wednesday night of the Juno week, and it was me and a couple other well-known songwriters in Saskatchewan, and it was a really cool concept. CBC came up with this thing where people wrote in their favorite stories about love, about laughter, and I forget what the third thing was. But and then we had to they picked the winners of all the stories that were submitted, and there was like dozens of them. And then me and the other two songwriters were each given a story and had to write a song based on that story. And the
Right.
people that wrote the stories were all going to be at the show for the Junos, right? And
Right.
we were going to perform it in front of them. And so we actually did get to do that. Junos had kicked off that night. It was a huge success. The venue was packed. Um, Everyone loved the songs that we did, and then yeah, literally the next day, we got the news that the Junos are over. Like, Junos are
Yeah.
canceled. So
Yeah, we were supposed to be there.
We were getting kind of stoked to go, and I was getting dared to streak across stage like that would have never happened, but but we were getting all psyched up for it though. And yeah, we got
yeah,
kicked off the base there too.
yeah, it's just, man, I couldn't believe it, and then yeah, things just kind of progressed downhill from there. It seems like
So
everything just
in the
shifted.
well, yeah, when COVID kind of put a big halt on it, like, and like you said at the top of the show, how like you've been going nonstop, right? Like COVID didn't slow you down. So
Yeah.
when COVID did hit, is that like did you put a lot of focus into like writing, or what was going on to not like how can I word that?
Right.
Like how did you not slow down when it hit you in the face? Like were you just focused on getting new material out, or like what was the main focus?
The main focus, I think, at first was to not panic and and stream some shows because me and the guys were all in different cities at that point. So so I was stuck just kind of doing things solo, right? So I'd stream
Right,
some acoustic shows. Um, I've been kind of building that up over time for whenever I'm not doing steady stuff, I can at least still go and play if I want to play, and just to keep people's spirits up. That was my main concern. Keep my spirits up, and in turn, hopefully that would help pick everyone else's up too. So um, it was a dark time because we didn't know as far as finances go. It was gonna we had a busy spring summer planned. We had lots of festivals to play that were already booked. May was actually going to be a huge month for us. We were going to play at the National Music Center in Calgary, which we've been trying to get into for a long time, and just a lot of shows that were really really well paid shows that just we just lost all of them, and I
yeah,
think that everyone's concern right off the bat is like, what are we gonna do for money? We can't
right.
play. What are you gonna do? And yes, that was a worry. We applied, we got a little bit of funding from our provincial music industry association, kind of helped out a little bit. Provincial like small business grants came through as well, and then Serb, and then Trudeau stepped up and actually voted for Trudeau, mainly for the reason of I just felt like, cause I'd met him actually, I partied with him back in the day. Yeah,
Ah, yes.
his family has a cottage in Creston, BC, or near Nelson in the Kootenays, and I remember Weymouth, we played a huge Kokanee Meltdown, it was called, one of those big summer drunk festivals, right? And he was the host. He was the host of the festival. So he was partying, we were partying. He introduced us on stage and everything, and just seeing what he was like over the years, how he built himself up. I just kind of felt like he had that compassion about him that maybe if things were ever to hit the fan, that he would step up and he'd be there to
Right.
help the people. And sure enough, man, he did, and it was huge. I'm not gonna lie. I think all of us are everyone in the arts, even till this day, who still can't work. I mean that's been paying the bills,
Oh
right?
yeah. Did you see the thing that he put out the other night when I was at Wednesday night? There
that,
was like that whole announcement.
that thing.
There was Trudeau was on like
Yeah.
every channel giving that announcement.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
but you could see the
Speech.
compassion there too,
Yeah.
Yeah,
even though you can tell that he was reading it, right? Obviously, but like
Well,
it was still like
he's also a drama teacher, so he knows how to present things, right?
yeah. No, he definitely for sure. But I mean, even just going back to his dad, like I mean, that was before my time. But from what I know of him, same thing, right? And so
right,
you figure that's how he was raised around that. I mean, they've had family trauma. I mean, their brother disappeared and they found his body in the lake in BC, where exactly where we did that festival. It was all around the same time and all the same thing. So, they've had to deal with some stuff, and I couldn't. I mean, that was such a huge relief. Um, our level of stress went down so much when we knew
yeah,
we were gonna be okay. And for
right,
most musicians, um, and this ain't including us, um, that's probably more money than a lot of musicians were making before. You know, anyone who's doing music only, to make 2 grand a month means you're hustling pretty hard. That's
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
gigs,
that makes sense.
and I mean, because there's costs involved, right? This is like clearing pretty much 2 grand minus taxes. But I mean, we do have big months where we'll do better than that for sure. But and on average, it's around that much anyway. So it was huge, to know we could just breathe and be like, okay, well, now what do we do? So let's make some music. Let's do other things. Let's focus on things about the business that get neglected because we're so busy touring. Touring takes up so much time, man. Like there's the planning of it. There's the trying to hustle to get the shows, and then when you get them, there's the promotion of them, all the social media that goes with it, and then while
Right.
you're actually on tour, you're still working every day because you're tour managing. You're dealing with everything that has to do with the tour, and then at the same time, you're planning ahead always. So it's just nonstop. You just never stop it. Um,
Well, you're living it.
yeah, it gave us a
That's
time.
that's what it is. You're living it.
Yeah, you're living it. So we got new management, and just before COVID, early in 2020, an old friend of mine actually who's really passionate about the job. Her name's Jolene, and she she actually got her music business degree recently, finished like top of the class, and this is what she wants to do for a living. She was interning at a agency and management company in Vancouver, and so between her and I, we talked a lot. We started having weekly band Zoom meetings with the guys, and her and me and the guys, and figuring out what everyone can do while this is happening, and um, building up, the back end of our business, having some better content, video content out there of the three of us, because all you could really find online is stuff of old band members, right, from the past,
Right.
and it doesn't really represent who we are now. And so we're like, okay, well, let's make some of this stuff and put it out there. And sure enough, that's what got the attention. A video we had put out in the spring got seen and heard, which led to them listening to the record, which led to them reaching out and setting up meetings, and sure, lo and behold, we're in the end of September, and we're about to sign a deal, and um, so that's
so will that thing make things easier as well with the label? Like your friend, what's her name? You said
Jolene.
Jolene, yeah, who's managing now,
So-
yeah,
okay. So she's your business manager basically.
Yeah.
So she takes care of all the bookings and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm. Yes.
So then the label does what?
So
Push
they're
out the records.
yeah, they'll be responsible for pretty much all the marketing of our music and of our image, I guess. So releasing singles, getting our Spotify and YouTube accounts, all the numbers and the views up, um,
Yeah.
and basically just making sure that way more people are hearing and seeing the Steadies than before without that we were doing without them. So that's kind of their job. Also, a big part of the label is they have a division of sync licensing. So uh, the people that own the label that we're directly signed to are in the movie business. So all of their
Oh.
day jobs is the movies, it's television and film. So their connections are with television and film, and Sony's a distributor of the music, but they've got that background, and I think that's, as far as I know, that's the reason why I think they partnered with Sony in the first place, was because of the strength of the label's ability to secure placements, song placements in movies and
Right.
TV
Yeah.
In movies and
So-
TV, right?
Yeah. So your song might show up on a Grey's Anatomy.
Well,
Exactly.
something that'd be with
Or
Sony.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope, man. Let's hope. Yeah, and then I mean that's a huge bonus because to me that's such a big part of the business now. Um, with the little amount of songs I've gotten in movies and film in the past with Wide Mouth, I mean I still get money for those. Like
Right.
a movie we did in 2004. Um, Wide Mouth was we had a couple songs in a movie with Al Pacino and Colin Farrell. It was like Colin Farrell's first big leading role. It was a movie called The Recruit. Um,
Oh yeah.
about the CIA, right? So they shot that just north of Toronto, and Bridget Moynahan was in it, and yeah, Pacino and Farrell. So we had a couple songs in that, but not only did we have a couple songs in that, there was a scene where they go to a bar and have like all the recruits, CIA recruits, go to this bar, and Pacino shows up, and him and Farrell have like this little chat, and we're the band playing in the bar.
Oh fuck! I'm watching that movie tonight.
so we, so it's weird. I'll get residual royalties from not only having songs in the movie, but as an actor, as a band member number 3. That's what I was listed as.
Yes,
Sweet.
that's so cool, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's what this episode is called.
Yeah, there's
Band number yeah.
band member number 3.
And I mean, like I said, that's a key thing. If we can get more songs and for anyone just to even have a connection for someone to get them a placement is near impossible. It seems like these days, right? So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
it's a huge
we
help.
did an episode with Weapons how many weeks ago? Not even that long ago.
It was a month ago, maybe?
And so they have one of their songs out right now, that "Bye Baby Gone," right? You probably heard it on the radio or whatever.
Mhm.
But we asked them, we were like, hey, like, can we close the show with your song? And they were like, yeah, go ahead, like, play it for sure. And
So right after they say, yeah, go ahead, I put that
that's
their
where you
muted
cut
music
in the
video
song, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then as soon as I upload the YouTube video, YouTube flagged it as copyright.
Yeah,
Copyright
we got
infringement or whatever.
almost got in a little bit of trouble with that, but Mark was basically like, fuck you guys, like, we got permission on the
Yeah.
episode to do it.
Look
So,
at the video.
yeah, they kind of they dropped everything a couple weeks later, but yeah, like,
Yeah.
Wow.
it's tough to, like, you can't just put anything or everything out there, right?
No, you can't, and that's like it's
Which
gonna
I
be.
get it too, though. I get that too, though. Like, that's like when was it Napster? Like that. Remember when Napster came out, and then
Oh,
Metallica, like,
yeah.
there was that whole clash. Like, it makes sense. Like, this is
Yeah, for sure.
how you guys make your livelihood, and how the hell are you supposed to generate money from it when anybody can just watch or listen to it for free? Like, it totally makes sense. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, I'm still like streaming everything for free.
I know, right? I mean, Spotify.
But you're watching ads. So if you watch a music video on YouTube, you're seeing an ad, and as soon as you click on that ad, or in some cases just the ad shown, will generate income for the person who
the
made
artist.
the video. Yeah. So
Yeah.
don't feel too bad.
Yeah, man. Like it's gonna be really cool to start seeing stuff like that happen because that's such a great thing for an artist and songwriter to just know that with royalties that's forever too, right? You get
Yeah.
those for a long time. Like I said, that movie was years ago, and it's still helping me every few months. You get the check, and you're like, oh wow, I'm gonna
It
go.
comes out like quarterly thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. So and you can see like, oh, the recruit was played in all of these countries. The breakdown shows where all the money came from, and it's really cool, man. That's why I'd love for us to get some songs and some video games, TV shows, movies. Actually signing a sync licensing deal as a solo artist as well. So anything I write with collab with other people, I can submit that to them, and they can try to get that on in movies and TV shows too. So pretty great deal. Um, as far as touring goes in the new year, that's the only big question mark on everyone's mind. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I, I'm pretty optimistic that by a year, like a year from now, we'll be playing fairly normally again.
Right.
Yeah, I
Um,
think so too.
but we'll see. we'll
Yeah.
see.
I have a feeling that the summer of 2021 is going to be a fairly regular one.
For like festivals and music
I think
gigs
so.
and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
there might be some rules and regulations that we didn't have last year, but I think we're going to see
Well, we didn't have
concerts and
anything
festivals.
like last summer.
Well, exactly.
Well,
So
did
now,
you play at the at Chesterfest last year?
No, no,
Can you not just talk
we did
about
Fast
that?
Jazz Fest. We did a big show with Five Alarm Funk. Yeah, we did some other festivals. We didn't do Chester. Uh, yeah, and this summer we were gonna do more big festivals. But yeah, I think you're right. I think next summer there'll be. I'm hoping because a lot of shows that were canceled this summer were rebooked for next summer already. Most of the big
right.
bands and big artists out there. So I just yeah, it'd be terrible if something were to happen again and that not happen. So, but I don't think
Yeah,
so. I think once we get through this winter, spring, summer, things are gonna start looking up.
And a vaccine, right? Once a vaccine's out there,
Yeah,
everything's that's a whole other game, right? Obviously.
totally. Yeah, because it's fairly like a mental issue with a lot of people too. Just being able to feel like they are to make them feel more comfortable with going out in public again, knowing that if there was a vaccine that if I do get it, I'm gonna there's some kind of cure for it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, it's gonna be huge. And I think yeah, maybe some festivals maybe they just won't allow as many people as they used to attend. So maybe tickets will be a little bit more of a premium and a little more limited than
yeah,
before. Instead of a free for all, like everyone show up and everyone can come to this.
Yeah.
yeah.
10,000
Cram
people.
everyone in.
Yeah. So
I feel like there. I bet you there's a way to generate more money there too, though. Like, let's say if you have a venue that holds 500 people, or even let's say 1,000 people, okay, venue, and now you can only have half capacity, so that 1,000 room is only holding 500 people, but then you could sell additional tickets for like a live stream, like even
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and then you
yeah,
could instead of getting 1,000, you could have 3,000 people when you normally would have 1,000 max, and then just generate extra cash out.
yeah. And
You know what I mean?
the online versions are cheaper.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But then you're selling triple the amount of tickets.
you
Something like that, I bet.
mentioned that because I just had a Zoom meeting today with a company from Regina. It's called Giggin. I don't know if you've heard of Giggin, but these guys have put together a really like high quality stream. They even have some sort of like mobile internet unit that you can bring with you to the venues to get like 20 meg upload speed to make sure that the stream is like super high quality. And then everything's built into the app. So once you sign into it, you can buy your ticket either to see the band live if it's a live show, and and if we're streaming that live show and you're not in that city or you can't come to the show but still want to watch it, you can also pay a lower amount to stream it super high quality, and no one else really will get to see it. It's like just you, the people that sign up, and there's a tip jar built in it, so you can send more money if you want to. Yeah, it doesn't take you
Right,
to an
right.
exterior site. It's all just in this one app. So I really liked it. I know the guys that are behind it, and they're pretty passionate about live music, and they're all from the live music scene. Guys that ran venues for many years. So I'm really excited. We're gonna try it. We have some shows in Regina coming up on Thanksgiving, and we're gonna try doing the live tickets, in-person tickets, and streaming tickets. See how that goes. Because I think
Right.
that is the wave of the future.
I
If
think so too.
anything were to come out of this that's positive, I think that's one thing that could really benefit artists Like you said, now you're not only just getting the tickets at the door, you're getting a whole other chunk of income from
Right.
anybody. Someone in
And
Germany could
that's
be watching your show.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's also that like that could be what I don't know the expression, but like the blade at the other end. But anyways, like
Double-edged
that
sword.
could be a bad thing too, like a double-edged sword. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of, because somewhere somebody's gonna get really greedy with that. You know what I mean? And then that's what the problem is, right? Like
Yeah.
either the artist is gonna be too greedy, or the corporate side of things is going to be too greedy, and then we're back to square one, right? It's a vicious circle. Like we were talking with Teresa last week on how the artist doesn't make any money. But
Yeah.
since COVID, artists, correct me if I'm wrong here, if you feel differently, but she was saying how since COVID, artists kind of are getting like their eyes opened up a little bit more on how they are the ones that are controlling the industry, not the corporate side of things. Right? Like it's you guys that are out there making the music and performing it, and then but not getting the royalties on it.
Right.
The business side of it is, and you guys are just getting fucked over, is what it is.
Artists should get the biggest jump.
Right. Like
Instead of
that's
the
exactly.
leftovers.
Exactly. And now like the corporate side is starting to realize that through COVID. So like you said, that could be like one of the better things. You're going to generate more money out of it and distribute to a bigger group of people. But it's also sketchy because some greaseball out there is going to figure out like how to screw the system, and then we're back to square one again. Does any of that make any sense?
Yeah, but I think there will be competition, because there's like this company that he's talking about. There's going to be more of that, maybe in different ways. There will be competition, so there's not going to be one greaseball that says, "Okay, yoink, this is all my money now." Then there will be some other one that pops up and says, "Well, I'll take a piece of that pie."
Right? Or if he does, if one band, for example, would take the fall and they get fucked over, but then it opens up the eyes. Like he's the down soldier, but then everyone else knows not to go with this label because they'll screw you over.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for these guys, they got, I don't know. I'm just shit, but
I totally agree. On a positive side though, I think because of this, it's weeded out a lot of people in the industry that were only in it for the money, right? And the people that are left that are trying to create these things to help the artists, and of course they're gonna make some money out of it too, are the ones who actually care about it, about the arts, and enough to put time and effort into something that may not or may not make money, right? Because anyone who's in it just for the money sees what's going on in the arts, and that we're the last thing to open up, are gone. They're already on to the next thing that's going to make money. So
they're all trying to piggyback off somebody else's fortune already.
Already, exactly. So we hopefully got rid of a bunch of those people. But it's going to be interesting to see. I think there's no matter what happens, unfortunately, even when things going into normal and sports having fans back and festivals back, there's still going to be people that just don't want to go out anymore, that are just freaked out. They're just forever paranoid now. And that's too bad. So that's why I think the streaming thing will be a good way for to appeal to people like that who just won't go out, But they still love music, and they still want to see a show, and they don't want to just see some Facebook one camera phone thing. They want to see a multi-camera, look like a DVD. These guys at Gigan showed me a sample of what they did this summer with the Jess Mosaluk performance, and it was high quality. It looked like a DVD, with multi-cameras, changing up, high quality audio. So people will pay for that. Like what's $10 to see your favorite band and high quality?
Oh man, I've spent way more than $10.
Spend way more than $10, right?
Podcast.
That's just it. I've paid money to watch podcasts on TV before. But never mind just music, right? But yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Right on.
man.
So you're heading out tomorrow, right? Are you going out to like Calgary tomorrow, or
Yeah, yeah.
something's going on this weekend?
We're playing our first festival. So
Oh,
yeah, it's so the Calgary Folk Festival, Calgary Reggae Fest, Blues Fest, and Stampede have all gotten together to have drive-in shows.
huh?
So
Oh, by the time this airs, though, that would have happened. So great job on the weekend.
Yeah, good job. It was a good show.
yeah, but I heard of friends playing them like in Ontario and they just seem to be a big success. People just love it. Like
Yeah,
you get a car full of people, whether it's families or friends, and it's even cheaper because if the more people you have in a car, it's like going to see a drive-in movie. The cheaper it is
Yeah.
for everybody that
yeah.
goes. Um, and yeah, I'm not sure how they work the audio, but I'm assuming that it's going to be a way that you can either turn on the radio frequency and you're going to hear the sound there, and you can just roll down the window probably and hear it as well. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. And I think at the worst, at the beginning of next summer, if things aren't completely open yet, if there are festivals in May or early June, you could always do them this way. If
Yeah.
Yeah,
need be.
yeah,
And, it's great.
yeah. Just you got to roll with it, right? That's all. Like we can only do what we can do.
Yeah, totally. But that's I
You
guess
do
that's
realize that
moving
this is
forward.
probably the last time we anyone talks to him as an indie artist
Yeah.
because
Because
he's going to be signing a big. I just realized that. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh, it's cool, right? You guys were the first to hear about it. We've been we've been
That's awesome.
we've been dying to be able to announce this for a while, but until the ink is dry, which will be soon, right? Um, so it's weird. I got to virtually sign it and then send it to another bandmate, and then he does, and then sends it to the next guy. Then
Like a DocuSign kind of thing.
yeah, totally. That's how.
Um, well, so what's the chances we'll be able to get you guys back here once you guys are like in the big show?
Anything, whenever you guys want, man. We'll work it out for sure.
That'd
Be
be
great.
that'd be
Yeah,
awesome, man. You guys obviously have an open-ended invitation on this platform.
Yeah.
If there's anything you want to promote or get the word out there, man, like
that's awesome
you know how to reach me. I know how to reach you.
for sure.
Speaking of, if there's anything you wanna say before we end this, like where can people find you,
Yeah.
follow you, what?
Yeah, plug anything you want right
Give it.
now.
Oh, sure. Our social media at the Steadies, just TheSteadies, and that's our Instagram, Twitter, um, Facebook, just the Steadies. Our website's thesteadies.ca, and then of course our music is on all the streaming platforms: Apple Music, Spotify. I'm hearing Amazon Music is starting to take over too, being pretty big with
Yeah,
streaming.
it's
That's what I've been
yeah,
hearing.
they're starting to do podcasts too now.
Are they?
Yeah,
Because
So we might be.
we might have to look into
We
that.
might have to look into that.
when you load up your music on we use DistroKid, but if you use CD Baby or whatever, you're an artist that uploads your music to get it on the platforms. Amazon's not one of them anymore. It used to automatically go, so they have their own thing now, their own platform that's doing its own thing. So I'm gonna have to do some research on those guys and see
Yeah.
how to get their music on there. But other than that, we've got yeah, those are our platforms, and that's our website, steadies.ca. Got some shows coming up around the province in the prairies, like Thanksgiving weekend in Regina at Revival. We got Prairie Sun Brewery in Saskatoon, October 24th, 25th, which will be live and streaming. So we're going to try to do that for all of our shows moving forward. Halloween, which falls on a weekend, which is awesome. 30th, 31st, we're in Edmonton at On the Rocks. So those are the dates right now for next month. I got
Nice.
a busy month of shows. And next weekend,
Yeah.
I'm
Are you
playing
guys?
solo in Swift Current at Lucky Charlie's. So I got like 8 shows next month. Crazy.
Holy
Swift Current.
Yep.
Speedy
Yep.
Creek.
Swift, Speedy Creek,
What?
Regina, Thanksgiving, Saskatoon, 24th, 25th. Yeah, and then Edmonton. So hopefully more. Like there's some talks of going back to Calgary again. Maybe up north to Grand Prairie. Not BC. Unfortunately, they went backwards. We had some BC shows just get canceled again. We rebooked stuff to play Vancouver and the island, and then just look what happened a few weeks ago, kind of kiboshed all of that. So unfortunately, no Vancouver BC trips for us for a while at least. We'll see what happens there. It's a shame because the venues there were just starting to get people back, and shows were just starting to kind of happen again, and it just sucks. It sucks for everybody.
The Halloween show. Is that something that you guys would dress up for because it's Halloween?
Oh yeah.
If you do, I got a perfect costume for you, man.
What's that?
There's this show called The Recruit, and there's this character called Band Member Number 3, man. You should
You
jump
should go
on
with him.
that
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna have to try to find some early 2000 raver pants because I was sponsored by like this rave company back then. And all of my pants were like 26-inch, like bottom, bell bottom. Hilarious stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, but I'm always
Do
Batman.
that with
Halloween. It's my if I can only be Batman once a year, then that's it. Then I'm doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Right on. Well, thank you so much, Earl, for joining us this week on the show. Like I said, you're more than welcome here anytime you want to, man.
Appreciate it. Awesome, man. Looking forward to seeing more of your podcast, man. This is great what you guys are doing. No, appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll want next time you come on the show, let's do it in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, done.
Right on, man.
Okay. See you later.
Thank you.
You heard it here. Yeah.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba